NJ.com. NJ will halt prosecuting marijuana possession cases, Attorney General says. New Jersey top law enforcement officials on Wednesday ordered prosecutors to halt all low-level marijuana cases statewide as lawmakers continue to debate bills to legalize cannabis. Anyone charged only with possession, being under the influence of marijuana, or having marijuana while driving, among other charges, should have their cases postponed till January 25th, at least, the Attorney General said. The order affects adults, juveniles currently being prosecuted, as well as anyone arrested in the incoming weeks. It does not apply to people accused of distributing marijuana. Marijuana arrests have continued despite, and this is just me throwing this in here, marijuana arrests have continued after residents overwhelmingly voted for the legalization back on November 3rd. There's several counties that have gone with, arresting, but I don't know where that's gonna go. Essentially, lawmakers in the state Senate quickly got to work on the bill to decriminalize possession up to 6 ounces, as well as distribution up to 1 ounce. All right.
I got a quick question, because you just said some municipalities are still arresting people. Are all municipalities arresting people and then they're releasing you on like your own recognizance, how they normally do with like a alcohol infraction? Or are you getting basically what I'm asking is, if we were in a car with marijuana, are we getting pulled over and arrested, or are we getting cited with a ticket?
We get so you have a mixture, and that's a good one. You have a mixture of both. You get incited with a ticket in some counties. In other counties, if you have a possession that's larger than 9 grams, or I forget the conversion in ounces, then they think they'll charge you for like distribution if your possession is overwhelmingly too high. So like if you still have like a small ounce or something like that, they'll let you go. Some places might fine you, ticket you. I think it comes down to a matter of size. I think unanimously, when I was reading all the counties, they're not going to arrest you if you have a small possession. Yeah, I think there's varying in regards of the size, but this is why it's so important that these lawmakers come down with the actual bill itself in regards of decriminalizing it, so that way there's a unanimous way of levying the laws.
Yeah, I didn't want it to be like the mask mandate. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like. It's like the mask mandate. Some states are doing whatever, and other states are not doing it. And it's like New Jersey's operating the same way with the marijuana situation, where some counties are doing one thing and another county is not.
What's the purpose of saying that they're not holding the cases now, so that more people can just feel the need to smoke? Like, it ain't like they canceled this shit. All they doing is postponing it.
Well, shit.
They're postponing it, I think, because they don't want to overrun a court system with cases that will be thrown out later.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you got to remember, if they're decriminalizing this and they're going back to 40 years of people who have been charged, and they're talking about releasing them and doing other things and putting them probably into the marijuana business, you got to look at that part. It doesn't make sense to lock up people and arrest people for something that's going to be legal. If that makes any sense.
Bruh, you hit it right on the nose.
Okay,
I couldn't have said it any better.
They're postponing it because it could potentially be thrown out. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black Zeus, quiet over there.
Honestly, I'm not that well versed. Once again, so because I'm not that well versed, I'd rather not speak on something that I'm not, very knowledgeable about.
Yeah. I hear you.
Hey, Smith,
like the lightning strike and shit.
Smith, you know how when we have the meetings for work, how we all got the virtual etiquette, how we got to keep our camera on? Schubert is not following the etiquette, bro.
I didn't know we needed the cameras on. I didn't know you needed to see his face, bro.
Yeah, bro. I need to look him in the eye when I'm telling him he wrong.
Damn, man, he tried to question your manhood, Shu. All right, whatever. I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah. Well, unmute me.
All right, the next one is actually from Black Zeus himself, and he brought it up, and I thought we touched on this in prior podcasts when we were talking about the legalization of marijuana. I went back and listened to quite a few, and clearly we did not. So this is courtesy of Black Zeus, and I had to find a couple of articles on this. So this is from the Oregon Live. For those you don't know, several states had recreational marijuana on the docket. They all passed with flying colors. Oregon took it a step further. They basically decriminalized all hard drugs. So this is from the Oregon Live. Starting February 1st, Oregon new drug decriminalization measures takes effect, and the state becomes the first to remove criminal penalties for small amounts of street drugs. The law also reduces penalties for possession of larger amount of drugs, redirect marijuana tax revenue towards services and programs aimed at addressing drug addiction in Oregon or Oregon, however you want to pronounce it. Here are the limits. The measure makes it a non-criminal violation similar to a traffic ticket to possess the following. And you guys got to get a kick out of this list. Less than 1 gram of heroin, less than 1 gram or less than 5 pills of MDMA. Don't know what that is. Less than 2 grams of methamphetamine. Less than 40 less than 40 units of LSD. Less than 12 grams of I don't know, man. I should have Googled that word.
What is it? What is it? A psychoanalysis one?
Yeah, like one of those joints.
Psychosis, I think, probably.
Yeah, less than.
Hey man, there was a reason I went to a white college. Go ahead with the
I was about to say Smith real well versed in it. He's like, oh, that's methamphetamine.
Less than 40 units of methadone, less than 40 pills of Oxycontin, less than 2 grams of cocaine. The measures reduces from a felony to a misdemeanor simple possession of substance containing 1 to 3 grams of heroin, 1 to 4 grams of MDMA, 2 to 8 grams of cocaine.
I got a quick question for you.
Go right ahead, brother. Go ahead.
What is the population out there
of Oregon?
What is the makeup of that state?
I can look it up. While I look it up, you guys can converse about it.
I think that the government should just go on and make the push to just legalize all of these drugs and control it, because that's the only reason why. That's the only reason why it's legal in the first place. Like alcohol is a drug, but the government controls it. Marijuana is a drug, and now they're controlling it. When you think about it,
but
in
you're
moderation,
talking about listen. You're talking about hardcore designer drugs that should not even be on the fucking planet, bruh. No. None of that shit should be legal. None of that shit should be legal. Yo, you're talking about legalizing heroin? Do you know what motherfuckers heroin? That shit is dope. Like what the
okay,
like
so
you're talking about drugs that are heavily addictive that will cause people to commit crimes to get more of these drugs.
Alcohol does that too.
No, alcohol does not have people commit crimes to get more alcohol, bruh. No, it don't.
Why not?
You ain't. When? Tell me a story. Exactly.
I was having trouble.
You can tell me stories of drunk driving and things like that, but people aren't committing crimes to get more alcohol. Because first of all, if you're that drunk, you can't commit the crime because you're too fucking drunk, bruh. So what are you talking about? And then when you got a sober head, you're sober enough to know that's wrong. So, but heroin, MDMA, fucking ecstasy, all that other shit, bruh, nah. I'm sorry. You talking about some hard ass drugs, bruh. Like that's why I wanted to know what the makeup was, because honestly speaking, if it's more of a white community, I understand why they want to do that. You know what I mean? But
to answer your question, Smith, finish your thought, and I answer that question in regards of the population.
But think about this, Henry. They just the opioid thing became big because white kids started dying. So now they're going to make more of these drugs that remember, a lot of these drugs black people aren't using. A lot of that shit, we use some of it, don't get me wrong. And we probably have dabbled in all of it, some person. But as a culture, those drugs are really, really heavy.
But
You know what I mean?
is it the drug that mentally makes you want to go
And I
commit
got
the
a
crime?
question.
Hold on, Smith.
Wait, I
But
got a question
is it
up
the
there.
drug though? Is it the drug or the fact that
Hold
you
on, hold
want
on.
it? Because you
I
can be addicted to all of it.
let
No,
me
It'll
let
make
me
you want to
hold up.
go out
but
and
it's the
steal
drug.
or
But I was
rob.
going to ask. No, what I was going to ask is, do they have crack on that list? That's what I wanted to know, because it's a reason that I'm asking that question. And I
Well,
don't think
first
crack is on it.
let me first answer your population demographic makeup. So 76% of Oregonian, or whatever the proper noun is to call these folks, 76% of them are white, 13% Latino, 5% Asian Pacific Islander, 2% African American, 1% Indian, and Alaska Native. So
That's
yes.
exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. Because remember, if we keep this in mind, the white man always wants to keep you drug and disillusioned. So to make drugs available to you is by design. You know what I mean? It starts in the white community and then it reaches out to our community. We don't need more fucking drugs in our community. We don't need that shit. We got enough. We got enough despair and everything. We don't need more drugs added to that shit that a person can do legally. We don't need that shit. But go ahead, Henry. I was listening.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that if you're addicted to weed or crack or whatever or alcohol and you don't have money for it, if you're gonna rob for it, you're gonna rob one way or another. Every person who's addicted to crack don't go out and rob people. Everybody who's addicted to marijuana don't do it either. But if that's in your DNA,
okay.
If that's
let me
in your
answer
DNA,
Smith. Let me answer Smith questions too. In regards to the crack falls under the cocaine category.
Oh, okay. Crack. Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Cal. Go ahead, fellas.
I'll just say
go
this
at
to wrap
it.
it up. I just feel like at the end of the day, it just comes down to which drugs the government can regulate and stop from being sold on the street. Alcohol was legal back in the day during Prohibition, but they figured out a way to regulate it, and now it's legal. Same thing they doing with marijuana. They got all these rules and regulations that go through all of these dispensaries. Now, to say that, I get what you're saying, Smith, because you do have drugs who are harder than that are harder than others.
You know, a percentage of that list that he said those drugs are illegal. You get them from the hospital, right?
Yeah,
Think about this.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think it's more so the moderation.
But to allow people to know, Henry, those drugs are used for pain relievers. You're not supposed to overdose and take these drugs for satisfaction.
That's why you give it to them in moderation. It's the same thing as marijuana. They made so many stinks about how marijuana does the same thing that the pills do naturally.
Marijuana is different. 30 different, bruh. So we ain't gonna even put that in the same category.
It's different, but I thought that a big push for the whole legalization of marijuana is that it does act as like a natural painkiller. No.
Well, it has medicinal purposes as well.
It has medicinal purposes, and again, you have not heard of stories of people dying because they were trying to rob people of marijuana. And when people are getting robbed of marijuana, Henry, it's because they're trying to rob a big drug dealer. That's different, bruh. And I think the average person not getting robbed for a nickel bag, bruh. Like they're not getting robbed for a dime bag. It doesn't happen like that.
And to Smith's point,
it's weed.
But to Smith's point, you don't hear stories of people overdosing on marijuana, whereas these other drugs, there is a fatality associated with that. But
that could
let Black Zeus chime in. Black Zeus, go ahead, brother. This is your new segment. I knew you didn't started some ish with this story, but go ahead, brother. What do you thought about the list and everything else? I know you had some thoughts on this.
I mean, number one, the list, to Smith's point, it does cater more to a Caucasian audience. Honestly, I don't think that Smith is really looking at this in the right way, because he's saying how it's going to affect the Black audience. But if you notice, the Black population is only 2% of the whole entire population in that region, and I don't see how that's really going to affect a larger major Black like if you were telling me this was in New York, if this was in New Jersey where the Black population is a lot larger, maybe I can kind of see your point. But in a place like Oregon, where the black population is only 2%, it doesn't really hold water. The it seems like most of the audience there is of a Caucasian population, so it's catering
Hey,
towards
point of
them.
clarification. I wasn't saying about the black. That's why I wanted to know the demographics. And that's why I said I understand why it passed, because it's a white base. And I said,
Right.
what will happen is once they start making things legal in the white bases, they try to bring it to the African American community. And what I also said was we don't need that in our community. So they
Now,
shouldn't have it in their community to trickle down to our communities, because we don't need those kind of drugs. Those are white-based drugs. And I understand why it got passed, because it's a white community.
Good
well,
point.
And white folks like they drugs. They do. I went to a white school. They love their drugs. They love their
okay.
hardcore drugs. They
But
love that
that
shit.
being said, like, one, it's not like these drugs aren't accessible in the black community. You know, like, it's just not what the black community picks. It's like it's
Fix.
accessible. If the black community said, "Hey, you know, we like this whatever drug, ecstasy, let's say," you know, then the numbers would go up, you know, because it became
But
popular within the
but you got to
community.
understand, ecstasy did become popular in the black community. So did MDMA.
Has it surpassed
You
weed?
all remember when Alicia Keys said
But
MDMA got
has
you
it
feeling
surpassed
like a champion?
marijuana?
For the new generation, yes, I probably believe it has. The new generation is the ones that's doing the Molly and the promethazine. They're doing syrup. They're sipping syrup. So
Okay, but
yes, I think
once
it
again,
has surpassed, because the
but
older heads, they're still doing the weed.
even so, that is their preference, whatever the case
Yeah, that's
may
their
be.
choice. Yeah,
You know,
but we don't
then
need to have
that,
we don't need to have heroin as a choice for our youth. Even though we
well,
have heroin in our hood, most people aren't doing heroin in the hood, because those are the dope. Those are the people that you see on the street that are in the dope lane lines. And most people who see that when you come through our neighborhoods, you know that you don't want to be looking like that. It was the same reason that people didn't want to smoke crack, because we looked at a thing and we said, we don't want to look like that, because if you do this drug, it's going to have you looking like that. So when you have an example of what the drug can do is different, and it sets you up differently than, you know, when you don't have that example.
So
So what I'm saying,
what's the
see, now,
justification? What's
let
the
me finish my thought.
justification?
Let me finish my thought.
oh yeah, go ahead.
Here's the thing: is the fact of access to a drug is access to a drug. You know, the audience is always going to respond to that drug based off of how much access they have to it, and, you know, how they use it. That's just what it is. You can't determine how it's going to affect, how it's going to hit.
The introduction to the drug too, though.
Hold on, the introduction to the drug. So the whole thing is, it's like the same worries that you're having now about ecstasy and heroin, all that, these were the same concerns when alcohol was under prohibition, that everybody would be a drunk and it would cause, you know, insanity in the streets and this, that, and the other. Has there been drunk drivers? Yes. Have there been alcoholics? Yes. Has society fallen apart because of it? No. The reality is that it costs more money to, you know, make it illegal than it does to regulate it. By that, meaning the fact that if you lock up somebody for a $10 bag of whatever drug, now you lock them up for 5 years in a prison system where you have to feed, clothe, shelter, medical benefits, this, that, and the other for the next 5 years. It now costs you anywhere, you know, I believe the last I remember it was somewhere around like 20 grand a year to imprison someone. So that 5 years cost you 100 grand for a $10, you know, nickel bag or whatever the hell the drug is. It cost efficient. It's stupid. It makes no sense at all, no matter what the drug is. It's cheaper to send someone to a rehabilitation place. It's cheaper to hit them with a fine. It's cheaper to charge them, you know, a premium for that drug. Cost efficient wise.
I'm glad you said that,
and,
man.
you know, it just doesn't make sense. So the whole thing is, I think this whole legalization is coming from the perspective it's costing a state more to imprison someone versus to either help them because they have an addiction, or, you know, just charge them for, like, all right, you want to get your high, fine, get your high. but don't go crazy with it. You have too much weed on you, we're gonna
Well,
charge you, we're
That's
gonna
what I
charge
was.
you a cost or whatever.
That's what
Alright.
I was saying from the beginning, bro. You
Well-
regulate it.
okay, yeah, they'll regulate it, like I said, and it'll be a choice, a personal thing. And at the end of the day, I still think it'll have a greater effect on our community than any other community. Whether you make that shit legal, whether it's illegal, I still think it'll have a greater effect on our community. But what I was going to say is, I'm glad that you brought up that with the rehabilitation, because as we get into the questions, that rehabilitation is only for a certain sect of people. Everybody doesn't get rehabilitated, and everybody's not offered that rehabilitation. So that shit don't really work. You know what I mean? Because it's still black and white when it comes to all this shit. And we can never take that part out. You know what I mean? Most of the questions that I saw already being phrased, they're still black and white. You know what I mean? We can't take that part out.
I still
But go
think so, for instance, what you're saying with the rehabilitation, if you legalize it and you make it a mandate that, under certain laws, what X, Y, and Z, if a person shows addiction problems, then you must provide them with services. The same way, like, if someone.
And this is America. That's a great idea. I wish you was the president. This is America. That ain't happening. You know that it's not happening. On face value, you can't even sit there with a straight face and say that we will do that. We're not Canada, bruh. We're America. We don't give a fuck about your drug problem.
I mean,
You know that.
To Smith's credit, there isn't enough rehabilitation centers out there. So like it's going to be an interesting experiment that Oregon is going through. And yes, it is rooted in race, because as someone who looked at the opium crisis in the past decade and see the money, I remember Chris Christie, right before he left office, he dedicated $300 million to rehabilitate people on opium addiction. And I was like, damn, what was this during the crack era? So yeah, a part of this does rub me like a part, like, sure, I get what you're saying, because yes, it costs money to keep anyone incarcerated for something that they could be rehabilitated for. I agree with that. But then another part of me is just like, man, where was this assistance back in the 80s and 90s? I do feel some type of way about that. I ain't gonna front.
Well, listen,
when people are dying, go ahead.
You also have to remember is the fact of, we are still a growing, and we're still a young country. We're still making our mistakes. We're still, you gotta remember, back in the 80s, we didn't understand that an addiction was a mental issue.
Yeah.
We just thought, oh, this motherfucker's strung out. All right. We were all in that mentality. We didn't see someone who was hooked on a drug as someone who had a medical issue. We saw them as, a degenerate. We saw them as, a junkie or whatever the case is, someone who had no control, no discipline. We saw them, we didn't see them as someone as a medical problem. We all were guilty of this. It wasn't just like one part. So we all were guilty of it. Now that we have more medical science and understanding of how these things work in the brain and how a person, could be addicted on not just drugs, but they could be food addicted, my 600-pound life, they could be, a person could be gym addicted, a person could be, a person can have an addiction, like these girls that vomit all the time because, they think that they're too fat.
Bulimic.
Understand that all these mental issues that come with all of this. And now we're understanding one person will drink alcohol and have a nice time and be done. Another person can't go a day without it.
But I'd say one thing with that, Black Zeus, and I'm in total agreement. And yes, we are still growing. We're a young country. However, if that crack epidemic had affected more people that look less like me, things would have moved faster. You got to remember, it wasn't just the drug. It wasn't just the drug of the crack. It was also the violence. So there was violence on top of the drug abuse. Like, that should have been a red flag. And I was just watching this special on, I don't even know if it's in your report, Cash, on David Dinkins, Mayor David Dinkins, who just passed
Oh yeah, who
away.
just passed away, man. He wasn't in my
Yeah.
report, but you could say something to that, man.
And how much he actually did for the city. And, they tried to ostracize him because they said he wasn't doing enough, but he was the one that, brought in more police. He increased. He was in the height of the crack epidemic. And even though he had a short stint, Rudy Giuliani got all of the credit for bringing the police in and changing the city. But it was all what David Dinkins had prior to Rudy Giuliani coming on. You know what I mean? It was just an amazing little documentary that I was watching about him. But I hadn't realized he had done so much, even though I knew of him because I was born still around that era. But yeah, it's just amazing that, like you said, when you see a situation, money is always there. Understand that money is never the problem. The money becomes the problem when we have to spend it on a certain race of people. That's when the money becomes an issue. And that's the problem I have.
Here is the reality, right? And you have every valid point about that. Like, yes, in the 80s, and when it was predominantly affecting brown folks, people turn a blind eye to it. Now they're expecting, Caucasian folks, now they're seeing it as an addiction, this, that, and the other. And I know some personal cases with that. Now, here's where, you got to use that, as a as a spear, for what you want done in your community. Is the fact of, as long as people, and this is all people, people, white people, black
and
people.
Schubert got the last thought on this.
The whole thing is, as long
I'm about to say, because I'm out at 10:45, bro. We can spend the whole time talking on this.
As long as somebody sees you as other, like they don't see you as us, they don't have a kinship with your problem, they're never going to help you with your problem. They're always going to see like, oh, that's your problem. That's not my problem.
That's not my problem.
They're not going to, and that's not even a race thing. That's just human nature. So one of the things that we have as a problem right now with the Black Lives Matter problem is the fact of people hear it as, oh, it's your problem. It's not my problem. And until we make it everybody's problem where they can associate, relate, or have some sort of tie to it, we're not going to get things to move in the direction that we want. It can't be a separate, you got to eliminate the boundaries and the separation between them and us.
Yeah, y'all hear that, people? He's talking about race, not human. I mean, not black and white, but human race. We all in one boat. We only got this one planet. I know y'all trying to get away from us and go to space. I know it. I get it. I get it. But them aliens ain't gonna accept y'all up there either.
Oh, you watch Ancient Aliens? All right, we're gonna skip that.
No, I just know about a lot of stuff that I shouldn't probably know about.
Okay, I thought I had a fellow friend in watching Ancient Aliens, but okay, it's whatever.
Ancient Alien.
I'm gonna go ahead and skip the gun ammunition record sales that is happening during COVID. People are just out here just buying up guns and ammo, so I'm not gonna report on that news.
Wait, I got a question for you. The sales have gone up all across America.
Yeah, man.
Is it more prevalent in a particular area?
That it does not go into details. But
okay.
Well, no. But what they have seen, and this was from, oh man, I should have wrote down. I just kind of saw the article. They have seen record sales amongst Black women. Black women are buying more guns and ammunition than any other time in time. I mean, in the past.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Black women still don't get it. They always want to down a black woman, huh?
No, but they're buying.
No, what I'm saying is,
yeah.
No, listen to what I'm saying. So that stood out, and that's the only one they have on record that the black woman is buying it in record numbers.
Because white men has always garnered guns. Black men.
Okay, what about white women? What about Asians? What about Mexicans?
White women
what about
always,
Spanish?
White women has always followed their white counterpart. But what was interesting was to see Black women who has always been historically anti-gun out of all the demographic of people.
That is true.
To see them make this sort of flip now that they're buying more guns and ammunitions is telling you that they're preparing for shit hit the fans themselves.
That's because the hot grit stopped working, bro. They can't throw it on their husband's face no more. They gotta take it to the next level.
That's because a whole lot of guys just got out of prison and they can't get the guns themselves, so they send their wives to get it. Yeah, we ready for y'all. We ready for war.
Yeah, that's what it is. You know what? You got a lot of single women out here that's like, yo, I need protection. They ain't got a man, so they need some type of protection.
I was gonna co-sign on that. That I think it's more of just the fact that you have a lot more black single women that are like, if you look at the numbers, black women are more educated than black men nowadays. More of them are in corporate America nowadays. More of them are homeowners nowadays. So why wouldn't they be gun owners?
Yeah, it was
Exactly.
interesting.
That makes sense to me.
They're like a part of them, are a large percentage of them are still anti-gun, but to see the large percentage of the group of people who are buying guns is astronomical. All right, well, the
Well,
next,
the last few, I'm sorry, Cass, but the last few stories that I heard with black women and cops, I understand why they would be getting guns. It makes sense to me.
from Malcolm Gladwell, talking to
No,
strangers.
I'm not from
Okay.
Malcolm Gladwell. I'm talking about from the stories that I've read or heard about with, these black females of late, even going back to Breonna Taylor getting shot in her own house. I understand why you would want to get a gun and feel like you're protected. I understand that.
Okay. Yeah,
Like that
yeah,
makes total
yeah,
sense to me.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, that was
I mean,
interesting.
if Sandra Bland had a gun, it might have made the situation a little more intense. That's another story. We'll get there, I'm sure. But I understand why you would want to get a gun to protect yourself, and understanding that you might not have a man or want a man, or you feel like you don't need a man, which is very good. You should be independent. And if you want to get a gun, it's every fucking citizen's right. I want a gun, I'm going to get one. I thought we was going to the gun range. We're not going to the gun range? No? All right, go ahead.
All right, these last two bit of stories, they're related. It's very interesting, and this is dedicated to you, Smith, since you got an Asian lady friend. So this, so the New York Post. This from a couple of, this from the New York.
Wait. Let me say this. Let me say this. So I'm starting to notice that she feels how we feel when we're looked at differently, because Asians get looked at a certain way also.
And you're gonna find these two new
people don't know.
interesting.
Okay, let me just say this. People don't know that Asians are looked at in a certain way because you're never with an Asian to notice it. Like real talk. If you're not there, you don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, at the end of the day, they minorities just like us.
Well, brother, let me get into this news segment.
They are minorities. They are minorities, but the look is still different, Henry. It's different.
Yeah.
And you have to be around it to know it. You know what a look is like when you get it from a Caucasian, an Anglo. You know what that look is like. It's different when you're out in public. Go ahead, and then I'll go into mine. Go ahead into this.
All right, this first bit of, keep in mind, this is gonna go together. This first bit of story is from the New York Post. Harvard University wins the latest round in an ongoing discrimination lawsuit. Harvard University won its latest round, an ongoing lawsuit from 2014, an anti-affirmative action lawsuit against the school use of race in admission. The win came Thursday, which was back in November 12th, when a federal appeals court panel said that the university limited consideration of race in admission does not violate the Constitution and is a legitimate effort to diversify the student body. The lawsuit filed by the Students for Fair Admission alleges that admissions at the Ivy League school discriminate against Asian Americans. It says Asian American applicants have the best academic record, but the lowest admission rate amongst any race. And shifting through 35,000 applicants each year to just fill 1,600 openings, Harvard does not have the space to admit everyone who succeed academically. Those other dimensions can include experience with prejudice or discrimination and how the applicant has overcome this adversity. So that's one aspect involving Asian Americans. Here's another one. This is from Fox News. Washington School District doesn't include Asian kids in its student of color category. A Washington State School District has removed Asians from a category denoting people of color in a report discussing opportunity and performance gap, according to the media reports. The school district, which is located 55 miles south of Seattle, reported the opportunity gap between students of color and the rest of the student body. In a statement, the school district said that its goal is to increase growth rate of underperforming groups, eliminating achievement and opportunity gaps. For this reason, in one of our outline document in 2019, titled Monitoring Student Growth, we evaluate the achievement data by student of color and student of poverty. It said in the document, we group white and Asian students together. The race-based classification in schools have come under scrutiny in years. In California, voters have recently decided against reinstating affirmative action policies. The measures was defeated 57-43, despite being endorsed by top Democrats. So you have a lawsuit from 2014, includes Harvard, where Asian American students are saying that they're being discriminated against in the application process. They feel, going into details further into this, they feel as though that the standards to get into Harvard is a lot more higher than them for them versus to any other race of people. And then you have Washington State that says, yo, you know what, Asian Americans, we're going to classify you as white, essentially. You don't get the designation of people of color.
That second one is bothering me. Wait, wait. So there was like this on this app. Do you have you don't have that to share the screen? There was an application that said people of color, and then it was like Black, Mexican, Asian, and then white was like on the top. Is it something like that? Like, what did that look like? So you're saying that it was, because I know I've seen Asian on the categories. I've seen it, but it's never said like Asian people of color. Like, what? I don't understand this part. I'm a little baffled.
Well, for the situation in Washington, it's it's interesting.
Was it like a? Oh, okay. What I'm asking is, was it like a people of color category, and then it was like Asians, Black or African American, Hawaiian, Pacific Islands, Spanish. Like what?
It gave you a link to the school's report. I didn't feel like reading through the school's report.
Oh, okay.
I will share that with you guys after this. It's just fascinating.
And then Asian is people of color.
They removed Asians as people of color in this Washington district.
I'm going back. I'm asking you, do you believe Asians is considered people of color?
That's the question. Apparently Washington, in this district in Washington State, they don't think that Asians should be factored into the people of color.
Listen, Cash, listen to my question. I'm asking you.
You asking me?
Do you think Asians are people of color?
The thing is, Asian carries a broad range of other ethnic groups. You got Indians in it. You got, Filipinos in it. You got, Pakistanis. You got, like when you talk about Asians, you talking about a swath of people. And the thing is, a lot of times when we think Asian, we're thinking about one or two countries, which is China and maybe Japan.
I think about Mongolia actually, personally, but
well, you think about Mongolia because their women got more melanated, pigmentation in them, so they're a little bit more attractive. But
no, I would say this though: basically, you're saying that. I just wanted some clarity. If you're not white, you're a people of color. So everybody that is not white, like I've always been saying,
because people of color,
because white people are the minority, because everybody is a people of color besides the white person in this world, right?
Correct.
Right, I just wanted to be clear because I know they be trying to mince words, and when you start reading history books, and it don't make sense. Stuff don't add up. You can't just throw stuff out there.
Well, before I go on with my thoughts, Henry, the Black Zeus, I see you raise your hand. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, yeah, because I got thoughts. I wasn't done. Only two thoughts. Go ahead, Shu.
Always has thoughts. I'm gonna keep it real simple. This is the problem when people are constantly searching for equality of outcome instead of equality of opportunity. You're always gonna have somebody who says we're not equally represented, and it's always going to fuck up the system. There's not enough black. There's not enough black women. There's not enough women. There's not enough, Asians. There's not enough Indians. Everybody falls into a category, and everybody's going to say there's not enough of me. And that's just not a reality in life, period. Instead of saying we need to reform the system to make it equal opportunity, and that would mean a system where when you fill out an application, your name, your race, your gender is irrelevant. You are candidate number 43261. Here is your information. Here's your grade. Here's your resume, if you will. And that's all that should matter. If you base a system purely off of that, you will have an equal system, and the cards will fall where they fall. But as long as we constantly have to have a system where I need to know your age, I need to know your race, I need to know your gender, I need to know your religious background and all that other bullshit that's irrelevant towards what the goal is, we're always going to have this, there's not enough of me. And it's stupid. It's never going to be enough of you.
Yeah.
All right.
Henry?
Hey, you know what you have there, Black Zeus? That's the MIB platform. MIB, Men in Black, that's what they did. Go back and look at it, because movies are not too far away from my real life. Go back and look at Men in Black. You'll be like, yo, yeah, no names, no ages on any of the applications. No, to be one of these people that caught the aliens, they didn't need all that information. They just needed to know how effective you were at this job. So you just had a number. All you had was a number, and that was it. Your number followed you. And if your number was effective at this job, we didn't care what color you were, if you were alien or not an alien. As long as you were effective at this job, you get the job. And that's how it should be.
We actually extended that into everything, our election system, our hiring system, then people would actually get moved up in life based off of merit, and no one could question it.
Meritocracy.
And it make other people step up.
Yeah.
Henry?
Yeah, I think Asians should be considered minorities too. I mean, I think that they're looked down upon by white people, just as they look down upon black people and Hispanics. So
yeah, it's interesting because if you historically think about, all right, if you think about the Chinese, there was the Chinese Exclusion Act that ran for several decades, where the Chinese were less than shit, they were considered black in some regards, without having to go through the trials of slavery in this country. Yeah, I agree with Shu. Because I actually started to listen to when I was reading this lawsuit that these Asian American students, or not students of Harvard, but like these applicants, Asian American applicants, and they filed this lawsuit against Harvard and their discriminatory practice. And the more I got into it, I was just like, yeah, this kind of messed up, because one of the things that I come to find out about this is, they look at Asian Americans as overachievers, and because you're overachievers, you're penalized. And I found that to be messed up. I was like, I thought you're supposed to be Harvard. Harvard's supposed to accept people who excel in life, but it seemed to be the reverse, because they kind of want to make room for Black and Latinos who don't necessarily meet the academic requirements, but they basically give Harvard a well-rounded sort of culture because they come from a different experience. But I'm like, what about the Asian American? You don't know their experience. Like, their experience could be just as rough, just because they excel academically and they meet all the qualifications. It was just a raw deal. I think, me personally, I just think that when you think about this from a larger perspective in regards to affirmative action, I think affirmative action is going to be dead in the next couple of decades because of cases like this.
Now, I got a question for you though, Cash. Do you feel the same for the international students? Because that's what's happening also. Like the young lady that I'm talking to, she's not an American citizen.
Yeah.
But she got educated over here. She got a master's of music over here. She's gotten everything over here, but she's not. So do you feel the same way? Because you do have colleges that feel like, wait, we got a lot of international population that's coming in, and they're taking these positions from our American population. So take out the black and white thing and make it an American versus an international thing. Do you still feel that same way?
I feel this way about that. If you give a path to have these immigrants come here, get educated here, I think they should be here. Because the last thing you want is a reverse.
All of them, but all of them though. No,
yeah,
this is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. You're talking about opportunities, but here's what I'm saying. I was like, because there's an economic term called brain drain, and you can have also a reverse brain drain. And the thing is, if you invest all of this educational resources into this individual, I do not want that person to leave to go back to their country. I want them to stay here and participate and contribute to the American society. Now, is it unfortunate that you might have an American kid, regardless of their race, that might lose out on an opportunity because of this immigrant? Yeah, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, I look at it from, America's supposed to be competitive, and it's just like you don't want to lose that competitive edge when you look to deport that immigrant after you didn't educated them.
But most of that happens a lot. Happens a lot. They come over and get the education. We train them, and then they go back to their countries. Yeah, and then they go back and build hospitals and things like that.
I'm not in agreement of deporting immigrants after we didn't educate them. Like, let them.
And what I'm saying is, Cash, you got 50 spots. Those 50 spots are taken. Do you expand that to 55? Is that fair? Like, you don't expand it because they're qualified. Like, it was 50 spots, and those 50 spots are taken.
Yeah, I don't know if
that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you just keep opening up the door because they're qualified, so other people get knocked off because these 50 spots were taken. Now we open up another 50 spots and take those from other people who are just as highly qualified.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. My man Henry's like, all right, we're gonna get into these questions because you guys got 50 minutes.
He got a lot of time. Henry got a lot of time.
Oh no, take your time, man. I got 10:45.
Yeah, he got a lot of time. So he got a lot of time.
Hey, Black Zeus, any final thoughts on the whole Asian Americans, the battle, them not being called people of color in Washington, and their battle with Harvard University? And
I got one last thought.
All right. Well, Smith, you get the last thought.
Okay. After Black Zeus.
Henry Black Zeus.
It's just like I said. As long as the system is constantly making things like that relevant, where it really has no relevance, we're always going to have this problem. And the only thing is the fact of with the resolve that I'm speaking of, then you'll get people talking about an elitist system. And the reality is listen, you don't say it's elitist when there's the best basketball player in the NBA or the best football players in college football or anything else. So why don't you want the best to rise to the top when it comes to all these other aspects of society? Like, it doesn't make just perfect sense. It's like, listen, if you're mediocre, you're fucking mediocre.
Yeah. Henry,
step the game up or step off.
Yeah. Nothing.
I'm rolling with Smith and his Asian woman on this one.
Nah, this is what
Smith, last thought.
I was going to say, because I like the thought that Black Zeus said, and everything is this, right? So the Chinese as a whole, they said, all right, y'all won't accept us, we'll build our own. We built Chinatowns across America, When the blacks tried to do that with our Black Panther Party and our uprising and giving free lunch, that's how the whole free lunch program got started, the free breakfast. We started that shit. The government ain't start that shit. But we tried that, and what they did was they came in and assassinated and dismantled. They come at us so hard because we're so powerful that they have to keep breaking us down. When the Spanish didn't get what they want, they created barrios, and they had little barrios, and they can build in their own little communities. We're the only community that still can't do that, because no matter what the fuck we build, they will come to destroy, bruh. That shit is crazy. That they're so scared of us that they got to keep their thumb and foot on us at every walk. That's all I had to say. I'm good.
Well, like I said, affirmative action, it looks like the battle of affirmative action is going to be something that's going to be interesting in the next couple of decades. All right, fellas, let's get into the book. We have quite a few questions. As everyone has seen these questions, they're very cop-laced induced. So we're going to go into it. Let's start off with
the intro to cops?
Nah, I don't want to do the intro to the cops. For time's sake, I'm going to leave my second question. It's not a question, it's an observation. I saw a flaw in Malcolm Gladwell's session when he was talking about Chris Morgan's seer training, men versus women. I don't know if you guys remember where Gladwell pointed out that the women fare better in these training programs. Like they don't necessarily dime out, or like in a prisoner of war simulation, they just tend to do a lot better. So that kind of intrigued me. And
wait. Oh, you talking about where it was like, I'll go and be a prisoner and you can kill me while you come save me kind of thing? I got you. I'm know where exactly where you are in the book. I got you.
So what was intriguing about,
we're gonna come back to that because we're looking.
Oh yeah, we come back to that. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. Let's go into Black Zeus question. According to the book, police are trained to be on constant hunt for bad guys and taught to suspect everyone. Obvious, we've seen the danger of police mentality. How should cops be trained to be able to sort out bad guys from everyday citizens?
So, with my question, right? I don't know if you guys saw this thing in New Jersey last winter around this time. There was a cop in Newark called Crespo, Officer Crespo. Long story on the scene, this dude, was chasing down
a 13-year-old boy, right?
No.
He
was chasing down a car, man. He was chasing down a car.
They were chasing a runaway car
down the street from where I live at.
Two guys in the car. The driver is peeling off because he's got warrants, this, that, and the other, whatever case.
And he shot him.
And he was this officer was shooting like a madman in the streets. Even his fellow officers like, what the fuck are you doing? Like they have it on video, like the cops telling him, like, chill the fuck out. And this guy jumped out of the police car,
running
times to dump bullets into this car that was trying to escape and evade them. And his story was he was in fear for his life. It's like he saw a gun that never popped up, no other officer saw, and mysteriously it popped up at the end of everything when the driver was dead and the passenger was shot, twice, once in the face and once in the body. And then even the passenger's like, yo, why'd you shoot me? Like, why were you shooting? And then strangely enough, a gun pops up underneath the seat that nobody saw before, until that moment. It's like, now there's a gun, but whatever. Either way, the point was that this officer went ape shit shooting at this runaway car for no reason, and the whole thing is, it's you got to wonder if the police training is causing these guys to constantly on the hunt for a bad guy, constantly on the hunt, thinking like they in Bad Boys 4, shooting off bullets before they actually think about the actions that they're taking, if they're kind of like always on the hunt. So it kind of reminded me of a girlfriend that I had back in the day who, when she broke up with her ex-boyfriend, he cheated on her. So now she became over sensitive. And with me, she was always constantly checking my phone and this, that, and the other, looking for evidence of cheating and this. And I never cheated on the damn girl. She was fucking psychotic. I ended up breaking up with her because of
broken.
So the whole thing is like, is that what kind of cop mentality we're conditioning? So how do we retrain these cops to realize, hey, you're not in a high crime area. Stop treating it like a high crime area. Stop pulling people over policing and pulling people over, looking for a gun that's not there.
Have them knock on the doors of the community and get to know them like how they did. That wasn't the cops' fault that didn't work. That was the community's fault. So you have to expose them to the. Let me finish my thought.
Sorry.
Yeah, let me try that shit y'all be doing.
Go ahead, Henry.
They tried to let them go from the sympathetic point and let them get to know the people who they're policing. Let me not just have it be the only time that I interact with these people is in a negative light. I don't know too much about black people, so let me go around and get to know them. They tried it, but then not saying that it was their fault or that the people who was afraid to come outside, it was their, that they were wrong for not wanting to come out. But they tried being nice and going around and having conversations, and people saying, hey, I'm glad that you guys are hearing all of that. So they tried it and it didn't work. But I think that's what they need to do.
All right.
Familiarize themselves.
I think you know what I think they need to do? I think they need to do what they do for teachers. You have to go to college at least for 4 years, motherfucker. I think if officers had to go to college, you would eliminate the bullshit. Think about it before you answer to this. If officers had to go to college for 4 years and get part of their training in college for 4 years before they enter the police academy, similar to the medical profession, similar to a teacher profession, think about it. You don't think that cops would be better at their job instead of taking somebody out of fucking high school that got bullied and shoved in a locker and got all these
when you say go to college and like what courses are you recommending though?
Nigga, the police courses. Fucking teachers got to take courses, police courses.
I don't know all the courses that teachers have to take for their jobs. Too.
I'm about to say I don't know all the courses police have to take, but you make it the same way they got a police academy.
Yeah.
Police academy is part of that training. That could be relationship. You take a psychology course, empathy. I don't know, motherfucker. You got it. You know what I mean?
No, I get you. I just was curious to what courses would you recommend.
I can make some up. Psychology, a ballistics course, dealing with civilians course. You know, a policies and procedures course. You know what I mean? A police history course. Like you let me set it up. You can have 4 years of classes the same way I had to take 4 years of classes and you did and everybody else that had to go to college. You know what I mean? We can set it up for 4 years with no problem. And you still got to take your math and your English too. The same way that we got to do it. You understand? But I think if you put it in a position where cops have to, first of all, this would be the choice. Do I really want to be a cop? That would be the first choice. Do I want to go to school for 4 years to be a cop? Because most people that go to college for being a cop become detectives and lieutenants and shit. You know, they still go to school for that shit, right? You do know that. They go to school for that. So what I'm saying is, if every cop had to go to school and they talk about defund the police and give them money for training to go to school. They got to go to college. Take that money, give them a college fund. If you want to be a police, you got to go to this college and then you go to this academy and then you're ready. So it takes you 6 years before you can get out on the streets to deal with me. You understand? You need at least 6 years before you can come out on the streets and deal with Cash, before you can deal with Black Zeus, before you can deal with a Henry, before you can deal with kids. You need 6 years. Now, during the 6 years, you'll do the same thing. You'll come out at the end of your 4 years, you start the police academy. You'll be training. We'll have you on training, but we wouldn't give you that gun. You get that wooden gun like they gave old boy in the movies. You get a wooden gun, nigga. You don't need a real gun. What you need a real gun for? You want to be out here shooting people? So if you did the proper training and you force people to train longer, it would weed out the people who just want to be cops to be a cop because, hey, I ain't know what else to do and I don't do drugs, so I'll be a cop. You know what I mean? That's what I think. Force motherfuckers to go to school and watch all that shit change. All that shit will change. And you could do the policies of the history of blacks versus police in America. You can do all that. You can do all these courses. You can teach this, and they got to take tests on it. And once they pass the test, then they're qualified to be out, because then they have a better understanding of why Cash is agitated, like Sandra Bland was when they pulled her over. You understand?
Do you think that's going
I agree.
That's going to change their biases and how they feel about black people?
Hey, Henry, you got courses of the biases. Does it change you? Maybe not, but you have courses of it. You know, you understand what it is.
So here's the thing. Henry has a point, but I don't think Henry is also looking at it from the perspective of, by the time that the police said, hey, we're going to try to get to know the neighborhood, they had already put a bad taste in the neighborhood's mouth. It wasn't like they were coming fresh. It's like you're coming off from years of police violence and brutality and this, that, and the other. And now you're trying to make nice. People are going to be suspicious. People are going to be, kind of leery, and they're going to be cautious about it. So you can't be mad at the people for that. That's where the police just have to constantly work at that. And all right, coming around to the neighborhood and saying, hi, we're officer this, that, and the other, isn't the way you go about it. It's more of like how you handle the situation when you go into a situation, whether you're pulling somebody over for a ticket or if you're going into a domestic situation or whatever the case is they change the way they handle those situations, then people start to see a difference. But just saying, hi, my name is Officer such and such is not going to change years of police brutality and abuse. Smith's point, I think has some validity to it. And honestly, if you look at police academies, 3 months? So
yeah, it's short.
3 months,
so I'm saying 3 months.
3 months to teach this guy codes and ethics and this, that, and the other professional development. That's not like it takes 4 years to teach somebody a high school education. You're gonna tell somebody, okay, I'm gonna give you gun power and authority in 3 months. Like
it takes longer for some people to be hair braiders to go to school to learn how to do hair.
Yeah.
So
in the police academy.
If there was a course, a true course, a police course in college, which they make courses for every other fucking thing. They got courses in college for circus arts.
For circus, I'm about to...
like, yo, there's bullshit ass courses in college for everything else. Fuck yeah, I would love for police to be educated on history, civil rights movements, professional development, psychology, sociology, economics, these things that affect the neighborhoods that they're going to be working in. Things that's going to change their position. Because here's the thing, if a cop is going off with whatever biases that they have day one, right out of high school, they believe black people are all hoodlums and thieves, this, that, and the other, but they get a 4-year education on society and history and this, that, and the other, and a better understanding of things, you're more likely to get a change over that time versus in 3 months. It's not going to happen, in 3 months. Besides, most of these cops, y'all already know, a high school educated cop is making the same salary, if not more, than a college educated teacher going in at entry level. How fucked up is that? In the same fucking state system, a person with a high school education is getting paid the same amount as a person getting who has a college education.
Correction, there are some states that do require a bachelor's degree. Bachelor's in what? I don't know. But there are some states that require police officers to have a bachelor's degree.
I just think
what states? Yeah, we gotta find that out.
Like in New Jersey State Police, they have to have a bachelor's degree.
Oh no. My fault. You're talking about state police. Yes, state police do have to have a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
We're talking about police. We're talking about beat walkers. We're talking about the ones Henry
Okay.
said
I just wanted to throw that out there.
We're talking about the people who Henry said going to knock on your door and be in your neighborhood. State police.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They need to be specific about that. Just having a bachelor's degree in basket weaving.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure they are, and that's the thing. I just wanted to make sure that yeah. But go ahead, Henry. You was about to say something.
Yeah,
basket weaving.
just to Shoe's point. According to Gladwell, he was saying that the people were responsive to the cops. He was saying that the reason that nobody decided to report, I think it was like the shootings or whatever it was because they didn't go outside of their neighborhood. They didn't know who it was, and they were afraid to leave. They're not saying that it didn't work. They were saying that they were happy that the cops were there.
Yeah, and that's the Kansas City gun program. Like they did, like not Chris Morgan, I forgot the guy. He did 3 experiments in Kansas City to help reduce the crime, and in his second experiment they did do a gun program where you had beat cops walk the streets, knock on the neighbors, and they quickly found out the neighbors didn't know much of anything what was going on in the neighborhood because they were prisoners in their own home. And this is why this kind of bleeds into a conversation when we have no snitching, because I was like, yo, when we don't necessarily it kind of goes into my question in regards to like what responsibilities do members in the urban communities have in assisting the police, because there is a responsibility there. It shouldn't just be a one-way street. And I used to have this conversation with a friend. I was just like, yo, why is it that we don't get more Black men and women to be more police officers? Like whenever you talk about becoming a police officer in these communities, they all kind of just like, nah, I ain't trying to do that. But yeah,
I ain't trying to do that. Mm-hmm.
But exactly, but that's the problem.
Well,
that's the problem. But go ahead, Cal. My bad.
Yeah, I mean, just to touch on Smith's point, I just feel like if they all made to go to college, you will have like less cops who are assholes, because a lot of them are just be not because it's going to change them, but because a lot of them be like, man, it's too much. I don't want to do it. But like we're all educated. we understand why white people treated black people the way they do, but that doesn't change how we feel. So I feel like the cops can still go. Some of them would be like, you know what, fuck it, I want to be a fucking dirty pig ass, racist ass cop that I'm gonna go through these 4 years. I'm gonna take all these courses, and I'm still gonna come out and be the person who I am. It's just I do think
not necessarily. People. Think about this, Henry. When you first became a teacher, didn't they show you that book of all the teachers for rapes and drugs and the teachers that all the bad teachers? If you open that up to incoming rookies on a police precinct and you show them all the bad cops and you show them the time that you can possibly get and all of the infractions that can happen, it changes the way you think. Now, it might not change it right then and there, but when you're in that situation, you start to think, wait, I can possibly handle this differently. You know what I mean? These cops are in a position where they don't know how to handle it differently, because if I'm just coming out of high school and like I said, I was bullied, I got a gun. Like Black Zeus just said, 3 months of training, I got a gun and I got power. You're going to listen to me. You understand? You're going to listen to me now because you have to. Because I'll put this gun in your face and say, you're going to listen to me. You understand? It's different.
It doesn't have to be the case where the person got bullied. They could have been de-bullied. You know what I mean? They could have been de-bullied.
They could have been de-bullied. And now they're going to keep bullying.
So the reality is you're always going to have bad seeds no matter what. But if the process is a little bit more stringent, you can weed them out.
And Black Zeus, the process is more stringent. And check this out: if I'm trained, and even if you're with me as my partner and you're the bad apple, I'm trained. And we have a class that talks about when to tell on your partner or when to weed out the bad apple.
Yeah,
we have
ethics
a class
course.
That tells
you have to have.
You know what I mean? We have exactly.
You have to have an ethics
put
course.
In place. I'm telling you, situations would not be what they were.
Now I agree.
It wouldn't be what they were. I don't care what nobody tell me.
I was watching Vice News and they were talking about police training and stuff. And when you think about all the occupations, I'm talking about occupations like being a hairdresser. You know, the amount of training like hairdressers get versus to being a police officer, like it's sad and it's pathetic. And I agree, like there needs to be a 4-year program where you get all of these courses, required courses, race relation courses, how to de-escalate situation courses, economics, socioeconomic. Yeah, you need all of that. I agree.
You need all of that.
But in addition to that, I think more Black people or more people in these communities also need to volunteer to be police officers.
So
yes,
I'll give you an example.
That needs to happen too, because the thing is, you can't have just white people coming in and be police officers. You got to have Black people willing to be police officers too.
1 second, Black Zeus Cash. What happened though? A lot of those youth explorer programs that they used to have in our urban communities, they took them out. A lot of
you're right.
programs where you could learn from a police officer and you can grow up being that. They pulled those out, and then it became where not only were those pulled out, so I don't even have this older person, or I don't have this mentor. Now I have the hood pulling on me saying, "Oh, you want to be a cop?" So I don't have my positivity reinforcement, and I got people pulling me right now. What happens?
Yeah,
I go to that peer pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do remember that program being in 5th grade. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, you get your little badge and everything. But the people in our neighborhoods don't want to be cops because cops have a bad stigma. That has to change. You know what I mean? It has to change. And guess what? If you had cops go to college, they can get a higher starting salary too. So cops should say, hey man, we need to all go to college because they can get a higher starting salary.
I don't know. You got social workers who got 4-year degrees in sociology and they making pennies, bro.
Hey, they're
Black Zeus, I couldn't hear you. What you say?
They're social workers, man.
No, I don't think they should get higher salaries because they're already getting pretty high salaries. All right, cops are already getting pretty high salaries if you really check out the numbers, But the whole thing
depending on where you work at.
What I was gonna say was, so for instance, in the state of New Jersey, in order for me to be a massage therapist, I have to do a 1-year, 500-hour course. All right, 1,000 hours if you're in New York. And after you do that 1-year course of classes where you have to go over through, anatomy, physiology, all the sciences. You also have to do professional development. You also have to do ethics classes. You also there is so much to go through. All right, so many hoops to go through that even after you've taken that course and you graduate, you still have to go and take a national certification at a facility that basically strips you down. Like when I say strip you down, they're checking your glasses to make sure you don't have cameras, like James Bond cameras or anything like that in them. You got to go empty pocketed, this, that, and the other. All of this restriction in order for you to take a test to be a massage therapist to get your national license. And then after you do that, you have to file with the state for a state license. All of that to rub people down. But yet, George up the street, dropped just barely past high school, and he took the cop test, scored okay, waited his turn in line. 3 months later, he's got a gun, a badge, and it's telling you I can shoot you in the ass and say I was in fear for my life and get away with it. And get a fat salary and pension.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Hey, Black Zeus, are you a massage therapist?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because it sounds like you were. One, that's one. Two, the cop can do that in 3 months, like you said. That's so weird to me. I just don't. I don't know. I can't make that connection.
Yeah,
I can't make that connection.
Power to somebody, a judge who can make the decision whether you go to jail or not has to go through all this education, all this time, has to work his way up, this, that, and the other. But the cop who can execute you on the street, Mickey Mouse course. What? And
say I fear for my life because he was black and I think all black men are dangerous.
Yeah, that's insane.
I didn't realize. Hey, I want to send y'all this song by Papoose. I want to send y'all this song by Papoose. When we get off of here, I need y'all to watch this song.
I know.
A soldier, all right. When soldiers,
it's going to be crazy.
When soldiers go for training, right? They take let's say a 13-week, a 12-week, a 3-month training course. But guess what? They can't act without a commanding supervisor tell them where to go, where to be, when to shoot, this, that, and the other. These cops are out here independently driving by themselves and making these decisions on their own.
Yeah.
All right.
Insane.
You have to have a superior who has years of experience to make decisions for you as a soldier, pulling your life on the line. But these guys are getting on the street with a gun and a badge with no supervision in months. Think about that shit.
Yeah, it's insane. All right, next up, Kelvin's question. How much responsibility should we take as a society for the suicides that we may have been able to prevent but didn't?
What? Say that again?
How much responsibility should we take as a society for the suicides that we may have been able to prevent but didn't? You talking about Sandra Bland suicide?
No, I mean
you talking about all suicide.
I don't know if you
the cases where the suicides off of the Golden Gate Bridge, had they put fences and blocked people off a long time ago, could they have prevented that? And that I think is a slippery slope because here's the thing: there's two parts to it. One, there wasn't once again, young country doesn't understand that a person that's going to kill himself is only going to kill himself under a certain circumstance. All right, we're just now understanding that. We didn't understand that before, that they have to have this specific type of way to kill themselves. So one, we didn't know that in previous years. Now we do know that. And two is the fact of people are probably also looking at it reality, cost versus reward. So it might cost me. It might be a $200,000-$300,000 project to put fences up, and I might say, 5-10 people. What did those 5-10 people, what was their life valued at whatever it cost me to put up this fence? Was this person, did it really make a detrimental effect in the world? We lost X, Y, and Z, now we're never gonna ever have what? You know what I mean? So it might be, there's more to it than just a simple we could have prevented that.
Sure. What about like the situations where you take the little poet who passed, who died, and then when you talk to her friends or family, whoever, they was all saying, "We're not surprised that she did it."
Right. They're not surprised she did it
They're
because
not surprised that she did
they
it.
know who she is. But the way to have saved her was the fact of, you got to remember what they said about the carbon monoxide gas, town gas. It was cheap. It was effective. It wasn't until they found a different way to do it
To
that
change the
was
gas.
that
Yeah.
was a little bit more cheaper and actually more effective. So they didn't do it as a way to save lives. They did it as a way to, oh, this is even more effective. And it saves lives.
And what happened with that, Kel, is they would have had to police her, you know? Do you want to put somebody who is considering suicide on a police watch? And I'm not talking about by the police themselves. I'm talking about, like, say if we had a friend that we knew was in a position to commit suicide or was willing, we would have to constantly either have somebody there or we would have to constantly check up. I'm talking about like daily, like every minute, because she had that opportunity. So they weren't surprised that she did it, because they knew that she was willing to do that. You know what I mean? But they couldn't stop her from doing it. You understand? It's a difference. Like, it's sort of, so if you feel like you want to commit suicide and the three of us say, all right, we're going to put Henry here, we could put you in a facility, you know what I mean, that could try to possibly get you help. But if you're really not trying to get help, that facility is not going to hold you. You know what I mean? If you want to go through with committing suicide, you're just going to find another way to do it. That's all.
That facility could be the one thing that does help out. And I mean, according to what
It
Gladwell
could be.
says, when you think about that whole idea of coupling, if you do put them in the facility and take away that option, they're not gonna find another way, because that's the only way they were doing it. That they
That
were
was some
going to
of
do
them.
it.
That was some of them. Some of them. That wasn't 99.9%. Some of them, if my way was to go to kill myself this way and that option was taken away, some people, remember, some people found another way to kill themselves.
Yeah,
Some people, that was their only option. If that option was taken away, then they didn't do it.
So like sometimes at night when I can't sleep, I watch some random
Wait.
shit on YouTube, right?
I got a question for you. Wait,
For me.
repeat that question. No, wait, Henry.
Oh, let me
repeat. No, because remember, I want to hear the question one more time, because remember, that hit me. Like, you remember my brother committed suicide. So I want to hear the question one more time.
Oh, okay.
So it's, how much responsibility should we take as a society for the suicides that we may have been able to prevent but didn't?
All right, so in essence, my society, which was my family, tried to prevent this suicide of my brother. Constantly tried to get my brother help. My brother ended up committing suicide by throwing himself in a lake in Buffalo on a wintry night. So if you know anything about Buffalo, he basically froze to death. Hypothermia first, and then froze to death. They were checking out to see if it was foul play or anything, but my brother had what we call, the mental. He thought like people were always after him. He would hear noises and shit, and he thought the aliens had came and abducted him and shit. So he had all that going on. We tried. He was living with his mama. I mean, he lived with my mother and his father. He lived with his own mother in Atlanta. He lived with my mother and my father in Jersey. He lived with his grandmother in Buffalo. He lived with his uncle in Georgia also. He was moving around. He never got stable. He lived on his own in North also, right? We tried to get him help, He came to my house one night, had a big ass gun, said, yo, I want to give you this gun. And I'm like, you want to give me this gun? The fuck you get this gun from, kind of thing. Looking at the gun, I noticed that the serial is the face. I'm not touching the gun because I don't know if there's a body on it or not. But I noticed the serial is the face. So I'm like, yo, where the hell you get this gun from? I don't need this gun. No, I thought you need another gun. No, I'm good. Take this gun, take it wherever you had it. So he was lost. We tried to get him help. We tried to get him help, Henry. And he still committed suicide. You know what I mean? Sometimes people are so broken, so disheveled in their brains that no matter the talking, no matter what's going on, they're just fucked up. You know what I mean? And it's sad to say that, but I know the love that my brother got, and I know everything that was instilled in him. He was going to the counselor. He was doing all this. We was taking him to the counselor. He had a mentor. He had all this shit. You know what I mean? He didn't want for anything. He needed a car, he got it. He needed anything, he got. You know what I mean? He had a job.
That's what I'm
But he
saying.
still, but he still didn't have self-love, brother.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Y'all saw that there was something there and y'all tried. It's not the same as that's not the same as seeing something there, not doing nothing, and then be like, dang, I'm not even surprised that they
I
took
say
the
all
life.
that. But you don't know what they tried. Just because they say they weren't surprised and he didn't have time to talk about what happened in the book, it doesn't mean that they never tried. That's your assumption of it. You know what I mean?
Well,
we assume the worst of people for whatever reason. That's just our mentality. We assume the worst. That's your assumption that they never tried, because he didn't say that they tried. He said that they said they knew.
But even when you take the whole idea with that Golden Gate Bridge, you'll see people throwing themselves off the bridge. You see that this is an issue that's not being fixed. And even, like I watched this little show where like plane crashes, how they go down, because I guess I ain't flying no time soon. And there was this one episode where it's like, they crashed into the plane, like split, blew up, crashed into the ocean, and you still are holding this whole search and rescue, still holding on to the fact that somebody might still be there. They sent the Coast Guard, they searched for hours on top of hours, spent whatever manpower in a situation where there really wasn't the likelihood of there being survivors, but they still put forth the effort. Whereas
they have to, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So
right.
why not put that same effort or put up the same precautions where it's like, I see that people are doing X, Y, and Z, but we just going to overlook it. And it's like, well, the bottom dollar is, it comes down to the money. It costs a lot more.
Hold up. They did that on the goal. They did that on the, wait, let me say this. They did that on the GWB. They put a fence. And you know what people did? They climbed over the fence and still jumped. So they had to put the fence higher. I mean, people want to, listen, but there's a will, there's a way. You can put a fence up, and guess what happens? Somebody comes with bolt cutters, and they cut a fucking hole in the fence, and they jump. It doesn't matter. If somebody wants to take themselves out of here, they're going to do what they want to do.
Facts.
The same way that
two people got hit by a train on a Montclair line. Like when I read the story, I was like, yo, this is clearly a suicide.
Yeah.
The same way that if you want to be successful, Henry, you're going to make sure you're successful. If I want to take my life, I'm going to make sure I take it. It is what it is. You can try to get them help. You can do all that. But if a person is there, they're there.
So that's the question. That shit, bro. So that's the question is, we know that all of this is a possibility. So at some point, do you just stop and be like, fuck it, they just want to kill themselves, so it's over? I know I built the fence 8 foot high, they climbed over it. I built it 10 foot high, they cut through it. So now instead of me getting stronger still, it's just like, fuck it, I just ain't gonna do it no more.
Black Zeus, chime in.
So here's the thing, right? Both Smith and Henry are both making good points, but the only thing is their points are not crossing. When you're talking about Smith's brother, you're talking about one individual and his whole entire family trying to save him. And that is not the same as what what Henry's talking about, which is in the book about mass numbers of suicides. Now, the thing is, Henry, is that the comparison between the plane crash and the suicide that you're speaking of aren't comparable, because if the plane crash, that plane has, let's say 100 people, and there might be a chance that 10, 20, 30 people might have survived, So it's a bigger pool there. So you're going to put more effort into it, because you might have a better, I hate to put it like this, return on investment, But with the bridge jumping, if that only happens 1, 2, 3, let's say 4 times, 5 times a year, out of all the hundreds of thousand people that cross that bridge, you're like, the numbers are insignificant in comparison. The numbers are insignificant in comparison. And to Smith's point, is the fact of your thought process, as they said in the book, was like, those people are going to kill themselves no matter what. If you have a gate there or not, they're going to kill themselves one way or another. They're going to jump off the bridge, climb the gate, find a way. They'll find a way. So the whole thing is, does society have a responsibility to prevent it? Sure, within reason. Absolutely, within reason. But, you have to look at it from the perspective if thousands upon thousands of people cross that bridge every day, and 5 people out of those thousands cross every day, kill themselves, it's a minute number in comparison to, hey, a plane went down, there's 100 people on there, maybe 10, 20 survived.
You're right, because even if you get one survivor, they wanted to get that one survivor.
I got you.
All right. Next up, this
Bradley,
is Mike.
Did we hear from you?
I don't think society in general has a responsibility to prevent suicide. Like to, I like how she put numbers behind it. Like if it's a small minimum amount of people who are committing suicide across the hundreds of thousands of people who are living day to day, then it's just like, why is that burden should not be on society? Only time I think that burden should be on society is unless you're wanting to commit suicide impacts everyone else. Like it just harms. Like if you want to strap a bomb to yourself and you cause this sort of mass chaos in the community or something like that. But nah. Yeah.
Well, here's where I will concur with Henry about society has a responsibility, off of piggybacking off of what Pratt said. If you look at school shootings, when there's kids that are troubled and everybody turns a blind eye to that kid. And now all of a sudden when he fucking goes off the deep end, shoots everybody and shoots himself, everybody's like, what happened? That's where society had a responsibility.
Correct.
You're right. I agree. And
Yeah.
it's not, they don't just say what happened though, Shu. They say, we saw signs, but if you saw signs with this black kid, y'all would have had him in special needs. Instead he was dumb and slow. You know what I mean?
What they do with the white kids, they drug them up on these psychedelic drugs, and all it does is cause further problems.
Yeah. Or they do nothing.
Yeah.
And say he's just being a boy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Which leads to the whole toxic masculinity talk that comes with it.
Exactly. Don't get it twisted. He's just being a boy.
Yeah. All right. Next up, this kind of was touched on with Shu's question earlier, but might as well throw it out there. This was a 2-part question for me. Is being a police officer the most publicly scrutinized job in the U.S.? And the second part, if any, what responsibilities do members in the urban communities have in assisting the police? Now, the first question, it made me... the first question, it was interesting. The reason why I came up with that question is so when Gladwell was talking about the police officer, the bio of the police officer involved in the Sandra Bland case, and they said that he was just a stickler for enforcing all of the laws. And
he was an asshole.
He was an asshole. But my thing is, he had the legal way of being an asshole. And I can't, and the reason why I said most publicly scrutinized is because obviously we know what he did that led up to Sandra Bland being arrested and eventually her killing herself. But when I think about public scrutiny, I can't think of another job where you have all of these laws put into place and you basically tell an employee, which a police officer is to say, disregard the laws in certain situation. And I just felt like in that situation, I can't think of any other profession where you get scrutinized for doing your job. In the Sandra Bland case, he caused the infraction. I don't want to talk about Sandra Bland. I'm just talking about police officers in general and what they have to do. Like, so when your police officer pull you over for a traffic violation, he could let you go, but he or she is also doing her job. And there's always this scrutiny around police officers doing their job. And I can't think of any other profession where someone's scrutinized for doing their job.
I want to tell you from the beginning. On teachers, that's the profession right there. You didn't hear me when we first started, and I said I got work to do because I got to justify why these students are failing. I'm getting scrutinized because they didn't want to, and Black Zeus picked up on this because they didn't want to come for 18, you absent for 18 days, but I'm getting scrutinized. Like, what? I don't understand. Look, in my life of growing up, nothing from nothing equals what? Nothing, right?
Something.
Get the fuck out of here.
Go ahead, Black Zeus.
Go ahead, Black Zeus, because I wasn't ready to talk anyway. I just had to say, he said, what other job is scrutinized, bro? Teachers.
Here's the thing. I'll say yes, an officer should do their job. It's not a matter of doing your job. It's the way you do your job. Like pull somebody over for an infraction or this, that, and the other, they did something wrong, fine, but when you come to them, let them know, hey, I pulled you over because of this, that, and the other. Don't come with an attitude like, do you know why I pulled you over? Where you going? Where you coming from? This irrelevant. You pulled me over for not signaling on that turn. Where I'm going is none of your fucking business.
Exactly.
There's no need for you to harass me. Simply say, well, sir, when you made that last turn, you didn't signal, and that's the reason why I pulled you over. Now, you can either give me a ticket because I did something wrong. You can give me a warning, whatever the case may be. But beyond that, there's no reason for you to, be looking all in my car to see if there's anything suspicious. There's no reason for you to ask me where I'm going. If my license is legal, my registration is legal, all my paperwork is clean, back the fuck up. You have no reason other than that to do your job. When you go above your job is when it becomes problematic. Two is, yes, are scrutinized the most. Unlike Hakeem's job as a teacher, the worst case scenario, a kid flunks, he takes the class over. If a cop makes a bad decision and pulls a trigger, somebody's mama, somebody's sister, brother, child ain't coming back from that. You still getting a pension, you getting suspended, you might get fired, move on to another job, but ain't nobody coming back from that bullet. So hell fucking yes, you're getting scrutinized. Because if you're taking a person's life, you have the power to take a person's life without punishment, with impunity. Fuck yes, you are most definitely going to be scrutinized more than anybody else.
Agreed, Black Zeus and Cash.
Laws can always be changed. A teacher's decision can always be changed. These things can always be changed. Taking a life, there's no going back from it.
No, we can give them a project to do to bring their grade up. No, real shit.
Now I feel for you teachers, because you get a kid who be flunking the past 3 years, and now he's in your class, and you're expected to do miracles. I feel you, Smith.
Yeah,
that's
but what Zeus was saying on that's right. You don't get that do-over. You don't get that second chance. You know what I mean? They should be scrutinized, one, because of what Black Zeus also said, and what you said, Cash. 3 months. Motherfucker, you got on this job in 3 months. You should be heavily scrutinized. You got trained for 3 months and you're working. Your ass should be heavily scrutinized. You know what I mean?
As far as society's responsibility, you said to help police officers.
Yeah, that's the second part. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get to the second part. Yeah.
Society does have a responsibility to help police officers in order to keep society peaceful and to keep the law. Keep everybody law-abiding citizens. True. But the whole thing is that if society, which are the people who are not police officers, feel like they're being targeted, terrorized, my mom, for instance, is 67 years old. She got pulled over for a ticket for the first time in her life. And a 67-year-old Black woman who gets pulled over, and she's in tears, in fear of this police officer. In tears. My mom actually cried because she was so afraid. She had never been pulled over in her entire, driving career. Okay?
60s, yeah.
An old lady in fear. What does that say about the way you view a police officer? Are you looking to help someone you fear?
Hell no. I'm looking to stay away from somebody I fear. I don't want to deal with you.
Cops get a kick off of that power trip. We all know this.
Yeah.
That being able to be on the street without a supervisor, without a director, without anybody telling me what to do. And I'm going to tell you, I'm the authority in this position. Look at this badge. Look at this gun. I could do, whatever to you. And then these other cops are going to back me up, even if I'm wrong.
Hey, Black Zeus, you said it earlier. You said, like, give me my ticket, let me go business. All this other back and forth banter, we don't need that shit. You pulled me over, you said what it was, I'll fight this in court. I don't need to talk to you. But then when I ask you for your supervisor, you want, I am the supervisor, I'm in charge. Bruh, we don't need to do all that. We don't need to do all that. All right, we don't need to do all that. I'm trying to get more of these statutes so I could be spitting them out. Like, man, look, 1843-93A says, yeah, I know that. You didn't learn it in your 3 months on the academy, but I learned it in my 45 on life, bruh. You know what I mean? I learned this living on this earth. What you talking about? We need to know the book. And that's why I said I'm working on getting it. My man getting it for me, Cash. The training book for the officers. Mm-hmm. He getting it for me. So I'm gonna get this book and we're gonna throw some pages randomly in our chat once in a while.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to learn these laws. Yeah, side note. Every YouTube police officers that get mesmerized or get caught off guard when a civilian knows the laws, they don't know what to do.
Dumbfounded.
They look dumbfounded. It's just like, all right, you could go on about your way, man. Yeah.
Now, like at the end of the day, I don't even have to show an officer a license, right?
Yeah.
You don't even know if that's a law. Like, I don't have to give you my license.
Yeah.
You know who I am because when you pulled me over, you already ran my tags. I don't have to give you I don't have to give you my license, but because I don't know that statute, I have to give my license right now. So when I know that statute, then I can do that. And that's all about, it ain't even about power tripping for Black Zeus or for Cash or for him. It ain't about power tripping. It's about, look, you're not going to disenfranchise me. I know shit too. I'm just letting you know that you met the right one today. Mm-hmm. Have a good day. I'll have a good day. You have a good day. And don't keep trying this on my people today because I'm trying to empower more of them with this information.
My man said 2 minutes. All right, go ahead, Henry.
We good.
Oh, no, I'm good.
I got one question left.
I spoke on this. That's it.
Okay.